If you're a solopreneur or a small to medium-sized business, or any business really, then this video is for you. And if you are, like me, a solopreneur, either you're at the start of the journey or you're considering it, you will find this video helpful as well. So when I started out, nearly 10 years ago, in fact, March of 2025 makes it 10 years since I started Mustard Seed IT. So anyway, when I started out, I knew I needed some sort of email service. Now, I was not going to bother with having a Windows server and Exchange license, and even though I could do it, I was not going to do it in-house. And so I think Google had their own option. I can't remember now what it was called. It's called Workspaces now. And then Microsoft had Office 365, now Microsoft 365. So I decided to go with Office 365. And as you can see here, I went with Business Basic. It's $9 now. This is in Australian dollars. But at the time, I think it was $7.50 or $7 or something like that. So it was cheap. And I, in my mind, went with the cheap option. Now, I can't recall if they had the same premium option that we have now. But I went with the cheap option. But I knew that I needed to keep costs down, right? So as a solopreneur, I was wearing all the hats, and I needed to make sure that if I'm going to squeeze out a living running my own business, then I need to, reduce running costs, right? So if you're starting out, don't try to, like, I see lots of businesses doing this, and I honestly, I wish I could meet the business owner and tell them why they shouldn't be doing it. So if you are, using a free email service, like I see a lot of Gmail addresses and maybe outlook.com or whatever, yeah, it works. It's free, but you have to realize that if you're trying to sell your service or a product or whatever, if you're trying to come across as being a professional or someone worthy of trust or someone serious about running their business, then I personally think that it's not a good idea to not have your own domain and not have a proper email address, right? A domain doesn't cost a lot. It could be 20, 30 bucks a year, depending on who you go with and what domain you go with. So, and then something like Microsoft 365 Business Basic right now, it's like $9 a month. So that's what? It's a little over $100 a year. So really for about $150, you have your own domain, your business domain. You have a proper email service, not a free one. And imagine that your clients, your prospects are seeing, oh, at mustardseedit.com. That's my domain, right? And Shri at mustardseedit.com. And you have a very simple website. Like I remember my website wasn't fancy. I had a host. So again, with the host, it could be another $50 to $100, if you go with cheap hosting. Like I've got hosting that I provide and it's not overly expensive, but nor is it cheap. Like managed hosting, it could be like $100 a month, but that means I take care of everything. So anyway, so if you, decide to go with the cheap hosting, now I could do all of this myself. Maybe you're not very tech savvy. Even so, if you have set aside about $750 for it the whole year for your own domain and your email service and your hosting or whatever, you can actually have all of this sorted. Now, coming back to Microsoft 365, for the longest time, I was just using Business Basic, trying to keep it down, keep the costs down. And then not too long ago, I attended a session that was hosted by someone who's very familiar with Microsoft 365, but they don't work for Microsoft 365 or Microsoft for that matter. And they were talking about Business Premium, right? And when you look at Business Premium, it's got a lot of features. So one of the things that I do is offer services like a managed services provider. I'm not just a managed services provider. However, anyone else takes that, I don't care. But I don't want to be known as that MSP, just like everybody else under the sun. But part of the services I provide is, making sure that you've got good backup and this and that. Every business should have it. If you don't have a good backup strategy, please don't think, oh, nothing bad's happened. I'm just a small player. No one's going to come touch me. Please don't think like that. Uh, that's a very foolish way of thinking, if you ask me, if I'm being honest. And security, same thing. Yes, you've got Microsoft Defender and things like that, but make sure that you have a robust security. I sell other stuff, but um, you've got to have backup. You've got to have security. Make sure these are all taken care of. Um, so I was sitting in this presentation about Microsoft 365 Business Premium, and I realized that I had never taken the time to really look into it. But after the 2 days of indoctrination, no, I'm kidding. After the 2 days of sessions, I realized how silly it was of me to keep going with Business Basic when I could switch over to Business Premium. Yes, it's, $9 versus 33, whatever. But for that extra 24, I was getting all these other things that was part of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And so there's this close integration, Either way, I mean, even with Business Basic, I was getting SharePoint where you could actually store data. I mean, I've come across a number of clients and number of businesses that they have 365, Microsoft 365, but they're using Dropbox. If you're one of these people, understand that you can actually get rid of Dropbox and switch to SharePoint. It's integrated with Microsoft 365 and it can hold all your company data, right? And share it across different people, even external people, right? Your clients and vendors and so on. And you have Microsoft OneDrive for Business, which is, they all use SharePoint at the back end, but OneDrive for Business is the individual person storage. So there's all these options that Microsoft 365 provides, not just Business Premium, by the way. And so, I realized that I should not stick with Business Basic because of all the other things that Business Premium provides. And, things like Intune to manage devices. So now I've got, Business Premium. I actually switched to Business Premium late last year. So, if you're watching this video, that's the end of 2024. And you've got Intune, you've got Defender for Business. There's all these other things that tie together. You can, put policies and lockdown systems, including mobiles. So when I learned all these things, and I'll share this URL in the description or whatever, so you can actually go look for yourself. I realized that for the 33 whatever I was spending per month, I was getting so much more, right? So my advice to you is, if you're going to start out now, you could start out with Business Basic, but Business Premium gives your business everything that you need. In fact, I actually, the handful of clients that I have, I actually strongly encourage them. One had to actually switch to Business Premium because they were required to by, their underwriters, is the financial services company. And the others, I actually strongly recommended, and they actually took my recommendation and moved to Business Premium. Is it more expensive? Of course, as a solopreneur, yeah, $24, $25, that's, $250, extra. But that penny pinching mentality might help at the start. But there comes a point where if you are starting out as a solopreneur, or if you are a solopreneur business or a small to medium business, realize that there are some expenses that you should be willing to sink some money into, because the overall benefit is far greater than the small cost. It's the difference between somebody seeing your email address as, joeschmoservices@gmail.com versus joe@joeschmoservices.com. Trust me, it makes a difference. I'm not saying that, if you have a Gmail address, your quality of work and the services that you provide or the product that you provide is bad. But trust me when I say that there's a perception that takes place. Me personally, I've done that many times. I've seen, somebody's car or sign or whatever, that says, their service name, and then there's a Gmail address. And I'm like, oh my goodness, could you not spend a couple of $100 in trying to get a proper domain, a proper website, whatever? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a tech person. If you think I'm wrong, feel free to tell me so in the comments. By having Microsoft 365 and Business Premium, you get the whole suite. You get full-fledged license to Microsoft Word or whatever. Of course, you're paying. It's a subscription. You have to pay every month. But you get all the latest of all of that. You get, SharePoint, and that comes across. Look at the products. You get everything that you need. And then you've got Microsoft Bookings and all of these other things that come with it. And this is why, overall, I recommend Microsoft 365 to my clients and prospects and whatever. But now I'm recommending that you start off with Business Premium because of all these other things that you get with it. So now that means that if you're my client and you've got Business Premium, then I can manage through this one, tenancy. I can actually manage your devices and everything else for you, security and cybersecurity and this and that. It's all there. So if I quickly switch to, that's my interface, right? And so if I go to subscriptions, I want to show you that I only have two subscriptions, paid subscriptions. One is the Business Basic, which is for a generic account that I use, and one is the Business Premium. I don't know if you can see that, right? So, and that's the thing, right? If you have certain accounts that you don't need Business Premium for, that's okay. You can actually mix and match unless it's a requirement. So on the other hand, if you need, now let me clarify this, right? If you have staff that are not going to use SharePoint and things like that, and you don't need to give them specific permissions and so on, sure, they can go with Business Basic. But if all your staff members are going to be accessing everything on SharePoint and you need to give them specific permissions, you need to see where they're logging in, like you can actually do so many things. Like if I go to identity here, right, this is Entra or Microsoft Entra, right? So it's going to log in. I'm going to kind of show you my actual backend. You can actually have rules and things like that that states that people cannot log in from certain locations. So if I actually have certain locations locked out, certain countries locked out, I can actually do that. Now, there's probably a few things here that I'm going to hide in the video. But the point I'm trying to make is Microsoft 365 is a great investment. Whether you're a solopreneur, whether you're a small to medium sized business, it doesn't matter. Whether you're doing your own solopreneur business like me, it's a great choice to have. If you're really tight on money, maybe start with Business Basic. But if you can set aside $33 a month, this is Australian dollars, it could be, I don't know what it is in US, then I would suggest that you do that because the extra is worth it, right? And yeah, look, this is just, just a simple video giving you just my honest thoughts and opinions on why I believe Microsoft 365 is a good option for solopreneurs and small to medium-sized businesses. Even for solopreneurs like me to use for ourselves, it is a great option. If you would like me to do more videos like this, if you'd like me to go into more detail, if you'd like me to touch on something, whether it is Microsoft 365 related or anything really, please let me know. I use QuickBooks for accounting. And remember, I wear all the hats, so I'm managing all these things. I use QuickBooks for accounting. I have my WordPress site running on a VPS, which is a virtual private server. So I do all these things for myself. And then, of course, I serve clients. I serve their websites and manage different things for them, including Microsoft 365. So if you have any questions, if you are a small to medium-sized business, if you are a solopreneur, if you've got questions about anything really, just leave a comment, let me know, and I'll try to cover that in the next video. So this is the first of what I hope is many Thursday Thoughts videos. It's unscripted. It's just what you see is what you get. I would love to hear what you thought about this video. And if you think that you could benefit from such videos in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you and take care.